Welcome back to WSJ Live, Election Night 2012. We're joined now by the former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us. I want to look at those three critical states.
Sure.
Ohio, Virginia, Florida. Let's start with Ohio. Take a look at what the numbers look like in Ohio right now. 29% of the vote in. Obama has the lead, 52-46. That's a pretty decent margin. Now take a look at Virginia. Other way around, Romney is 51% of the vote, Obama 47. That's with 68% of the vote reported. Right. So good Romney lead. And now look at Florida. This is the most unbelievable. 84% reporting neck and neck, a bare lead for Barack Obama. But here's the problem. Here's the problem, Mr. Mayor. Romney needs to win all three of them.
He does. He does. I mean, right now, Virginia looks better than I thought. I thought a 3-4 point lead in Virginia would be sufficient for Romney to really win. Looks like he has that.
Yeah.
Florida is what Florida is. He could still easily win Florida.
And he must.
And he must win Florida.
Yeah.
Ohio, 3-4% at this point is tough. Not impossible, but tough. You really have to know who's reporting in Ohio. Where are the votes coming in? Is it the northern part of Ohio? Is it the southern part of Ohio? I don't know the answer to that.
And if he doesn't win Ohio, if he can win Florida and Virginia but not win Ohio.
Then he has to win Colorado, where he's behind right now by a few points, but only about half the votes in. He's got to win Nevada. Somebody's got to turn around New Hampshire. I think that'd probably be enough if he could do that. But
yeah,
honestly, he really needs Ohio. He needs to turn Ohio in order to.
Now, earlier in the campaign, or well, even earlier today, Republican operatives were looking at states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, maybe even Michigan as possible wins. Those are off.
I thought he had a chance in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah, I was in Pennsylvania yesterday. I campaigned in like 5 different places for him. I thought there was a tremendous amount of enthusiasm in Pennsylvania. It was a gamble. It was a last-minute strategy to try to, I think, catch the Obama campaign unawares.
Yeah.
And it looks like it didn't work.
Take a look at those Pennsylvania numbers. AP has now declared Pennsylvania for Obama. 59% of the vote, almost 60% of the vote with 41% in. So it's not going to happen there. That makes Ohio all that much more important.
Absolutely.
And without Ohio, then it takes a minor miracle. Colorado, Nevada, New Hampshire.
Well, and also you got to make sure you win. Looks like Virginia's okay, although you can't be sure.
Got to win Florida.
It's what, 3%. You got to win Florida, where he's behind by about 0.7%. But you can easily make that up if the Panhandle vote is still out there. Then there's a good chance that Romney can win Florida.
Yeah.
And then Ohio, we're just going to have to hope.
We're going to have
for
to
those
watch.
of us who want Governor Romney.
Now here's another swing state that has been declared by a couple of networks. CBS and NBC have declared that Obama will win in New Hampshire. That's a small state, 4 electoral votes, but in the scenario where Romney loses Ohio, New Hampshire could have been important. It looks like it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and given the margins here, it looks tough to pick up a state like Nevada, a state like Colorado. But my goodness, strange things have happened.
Well, you're still hoping, but if it doesn't happen,
I'm still hoping.
Well, that's the way you make it through the night. But if it doesn't happen, what went wrong?
Oh, my goodness, who knows? I mean, you could say Hurricane Sandy.
Do you think that was a significant plus for Obama?
I do. I mean, I think part of it could have been, there'll always be the question of should you have brought Benghazi up at the last debate? And
you think that might have hurt him?
Hurt the president?
No, you might have hurt Romney.
No, I think it would have hurt. I think it would have hurt.
Oh, you mean he should have hit it harder? I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the president doesn't have a good answer to why didn't you supply security for our people in Benghazi when that consulate was attacked twice. One time
and Romney didn't hit it as hard as he might have.
I just don't know what the president's answer to that is. I mean, here you have a whole series of violent acts happening in front of that and at that consulate, and no extra security is provided for our people there. I think that's actually even more significant than whatever the response was, whether the response was the right response or not, which I don't think it was, but I'm not sure you can prove that. But those people should have been provided with the security they deserved before that.
Yeah.
I thought that was an issue that might work. But even with that, I thought when Governor Romney came out of the last debate, he was on his way to victory. I think the hurricane probably slowed that down.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I can't tell. And also, the fact is we never knew. Both campaigns had great ground games, and no one knew which one was better. Looks like the Obama ground game is a darn good one.
pretty strong ground game.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like Republicans aren't doing that well in the battle for the Senate either. Some critical races in Massachusetts. Republicans lose a seat to Elizabeth Warren. In Indiana, Richard Lugar's seat.
A couple of self-inflicted wounds there.
There were some self-inflicted wounds. Let's keep away from rape in future
I would
election
think that
campaigns.
is not exactly a
There's
particularly good campaign issue, except a simple statement like, rape is a crime, you should go to jail for it for a very long time.
Yeah. No, well, they could have taken some advice from you on that one. But so it is looking like now there's do we have the Virginia results? Because in Virginia there could be a Republican pickup in the Senate. George Allen no, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the Senate race in Virginia. George Allen versus Tim Kaine. It looks like Allen could be 66% reporting. Allen has 50.7%.
Well, of course, that's really close. The general wisdom was if Governor Romney can win Virginia by 3-4 points, then former Governor Allen would come in. Also, the general wisdom was if he could win Virginia by 3-4 points, he could probably pull out the other states. And I guess that part so far hasn't worked.
But what you're certainly not going to see tonight is a Republican gain of control of the Senate.
No, I think here are two things that are really clear. Republicans have the House, Democrats have the Senate.
Right.
Numbers yet to be decided.
Right.
Presidency, we need a couple of fourth quarter touchdowns right now in order to win this.
But whoever
not
wins,
impossible. I'm a Giant fan, and I've watched Eli Manning. Manning do this in the Super Bowl in Dallas last week. Not this week, but I've watched Eli do this a lot.
One more on the Senate side. The AP has just called the Indiana Senate race, which we were talking about a minute ago.
Self-inflicted wound.
Self-inflicted wound.
I mean, that one, and in the last couple of years, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. But we basically handed that over to the Democrats.
But as you pointed out, whoever gets elected president is going to face a divided Congress. We haven't seen very effective governance over the last couple of years with a divided Congress. What hope is there that that's going to change?
I hope whoever gets elected, whether it's the president getting reelected or Mitt getting elected, and I'm confident Mitt would be like this because I watched him as governor. You gotta meet people in the middle somewhere here. This whole idea of compromise can't become a bad idea. Yeah. And that's the way I governed a city that is 5-1 Democrat. I got a lot of what I wanted. I think I accomplished a certain amount.
Yeah.
But I had to give up a lot too. I mean, I had to give in to programs I didn't like. I got tax cuts, but I didn't get quite the tax cuts that I wanted. I would have liked to have had twice as many tax cuts than the ones I got. But if I tried to go for twice as many, I wouldn't have gotten any.
Well, that art seems to have been lost in Washington.
I worked for Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan is probably the quintessential conservative. Ronald Reagan understood the art of compromise better than anyone in American politics. Maybe Bill Clinton, on the other side, understands this as well. And I hope if the president gets reelected, I hope he, having had Bill Clinton kind of campaign for him, I hope he kind of takes some of that DNA.
How do you explain that? Because I have the exact same experience. I mean, I spent 25 years in Washington. I was there, watched tax reform under Ronald Reagan when he was working with Tip O'Neill and Danny Rostenkowski.
And then he agreed to a couple of tax cuts, tax increases.
Tax increases, which he said he would never do.
Which he said he would never do, but the tax increases never netted out to the tax decreases that he created. Sure. And he got a lot of other stuff that he needed, including a tremendous military budget that allowed him to spend the Soviet Union out of existence.
But why has that happened? I mean, it really has looked to me like a pretty much of a 3-decade downhill slide in the ability of people of goodwill from both parties to get together and do things in the national interest.
We've simplified our political appeal too much. I mean, we haven't educated the American people into how complicated all of this is. All of this
you're talking leadership.
Yeah, I'm talking about we've simplified our appeal. It's soundbite appeal. It's one issue appeal. Instead of trying to explain to people, sure, this is our goal. I am an enormous proponent of lower taxes. I saw it work for me in New York City, but I'd be willing to compromise in order to get somewhat lower taxes, but not the lower taxes I want, in order to accomplish other things. Like if you offered me that deal, remember that deal they asked at the
10-to-1.
10-to-1.
10 in spending cuts for one.
You gave me 10 cuts for $1 in tax cuts. I'd make that deal.
But every single one of the Republican candidates said no.
You realize how terrific that deal would be for getting rid of the deficit?
But why did they all say no?
Because they're responding to the base too much. This is probably the way you win. Look, I lost a Republican primary because I wasn't willing to compromise on a couple of issues that maybe I should have compromised on. Maybe I wouldn't have won anyway. But in any event, you go through this process, where you simplify in order to win the primary, and then it's very hard to expand in order to win the general election.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see some changes after this election.
Well,
Mr. Mayor,
I haven't given up hope yet.
I know. You're
still
hoping, but you got to admit the winds are not blowing your way.
I admit that. I'm a realist. I admit that, and I respect that ground game the Obama people had.
Yeah.
It obviously was as good as they said it was, but who knows? We may be able to still squeak it out.
Okay, Mayor Giuliani, thank you very much for being with us.